everybody. I'm Jonathan Randall, and welcome to How You Like Me Now, coming to you straight from New York City's Lower East Side. I hope everybody's having a good 2023 so far. Mine's been okay. I stopped working the job I was doing that I didn't really like, but I got sucked into, and I sold myself out because I was getting paid, and it's been nice to have more time to focus on, my creative endeavors. But I gotta be honest, I kind of have been indulging a little bit too much lately on liquor and drugs and women, but I'm trying to get my act together. I'm trying to get my life together. I just want to be an artist. I just want to be a creator. I just want to do comedy. I'm having such a hard time in my comedy career lately. Too many lows, and the highs just aren't, I guess, high enough. I did a really great show over last weekend honoring one of the original writers from Saturday Night Live, Alan Zweibel, who was a super nice guy. He wrote the movie Dragnet. He wrote the screenplay or the novel North that the movie was based on. He was in an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. He wrote the Gary Shandling Show. Really impressive resume. A legendary comedy writer. I mean, one of the original writers from Saturday Night Live. Like, how amazing must that have been to be a part of one of the coolest shows that there's ever been, when it was its coolest, at its inception. That's incredible. So I got to host a show, one of the clubs I perform at a lot that's very good to me, Stand Up New York, which I love. Check them out on the Upper West Side. They gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award, and they asked me to host the show, so that was really cool. Packed audience, really hilarious comedians on the show, and Alan was, of course, just such a great guy to talk to, and for someone that has so much accomplishments, he was so kind and generous with his time and down to earth. So I was feeling really good. I was really excited about this, but then it's I didn't have another gig for a couple days, and I want to be excited about these shows. I want to do more of these cool shows, and it was a weird situation for me because I feel like my comedy career is not going where I want it to be. It's not. It's almost non-existent. I mean, one of my friends told me I'm not even a comedian anymore. I'm just an activist, but I feel like he was really trying to get under my skin because I am always a comedian. And you could ask any of the girls I went out with this week who all thought I made way too many jokes. But you got to throw them out there, even if they don't land. That's how you know if a joke's good or not. You got to try it first. But anyways, so, Alan Zweibel, he's kind of almost I know who he is, but the average person doesn't know who he is. And to be honest, getting a Lifetime Achievement Award from, just some club on the Upper West Side and not from a bigger institution, maybe Saturday Night Live itself or something, it's kind of, it's a little bit sad, to have accomplished so much and to do that. And it was just kind of a surreal thing for me where I don't feel like my career is going so good, but then I got to ask to be a part of it, and I'm feeling good about being a part of this thing with this guy who accomplished and did so many things. I hope I could write for these amazing shows. I hope I could achieve some of the successes that he has in his career. And then he's pretty much just a forgotten comedy hero because nobody really cares about him. Sure, there was a room full of people that supported him, but he wrote Billy Crystal's Broadway show. Billy wasn't there. He wrote Martin Short's Broadway show. Martin Short wasn't there. He's written movies with Tiffany Haddish. She wasn't there. He's worked with Larry David. Larry David wasn't there. It was his family and friends and this young kid who was producing the show and put it together, which I thought was really sweet and nice of this guy. And this guy brought all his friends to honor Alan, and it's comedy is such a go fuck, and then I start thinking about it even more, and I think about one of my comedy heroes, one of the funniest men that ever walked the earth, Robin Williams, who had a level of success that people could only dream of, and he fucking killed himself, And I think about suicide. I do. It's hard for me to talk about this, but I think about it all the time. I have suicidal thoughts every day. I feel like I'm always constantly fighting the urge to fucking kill myself because, of my depression and, I guess bad things that happened to me in the past that weighed down my life, and I feel like that I can't move forward in the future because of the state of my career, which I am definitely like the most insecure about. I'm not too insecure about a lot of things in life, but like my career, I am like so insecure about, especially from my age, from my talent level, which I think I have. I stand behind. I make people laugh. I do shows. People come up to me. They tell me how much they enjoyed it. They thank me for laughter, and I care about comedy. I want to make people laugh. I love performing. It's so much fun to be on a stage with a room and take them through a journey that involves maybe laughter, maybe a little like naughty stuff that like shocks them, maybe hearing something that they don't want to hear, but pushes the boundaries and makes them ask questions about everything that they believe. And I think that's awesome. And I definitely strive to be a better comedian, and I know I need to work harder at it, but I just want to catch some sort of like break or something where I feel like I've accomplished more, because I feel like I've been doing comedy for all this time and I don't have a lot to show for, and it's really sad, and it's easy for me to get caught up in what I don't have, and wishing things were different, and the mistakes I perhaps made in my career, and focusing too much on like girls in the past, which I feel like is a problem for me and that I have done, and I don't want to do that again. And I felt myself slipping back into that this week, but I want to like shake that off. Of course I am looking for love, and I love female company. I do. I just, there's something about it that like brings something out of me, a side of myself that not only do I really like, but it gives me this like feeling of being alive that I don't often feel when I'm like around men, or just like not in like a romantic situation with a woman, where like part of me it's just like it comes alive, and I love it, and I want that, and I would love to have like one partner and an amazing relationship, and I'm looking, and I guess I do have a little bit of like this Cinderella quality to it all, where instead of putting a foot in a slipper to find my true woman, or whatever my friend says, I am putting my dick in different girls' vaginas to figure out which one it fits in best and which one fits best for me. And I don't know, maybe it's just a crazy sick analogy, but I do sometimes feel that way, where I'm like, man, let me try that girl. No, that didn't feel good. Oh, let me try that girl. No, that wasn't good. And it's not just like also the sex. Of course, the sex is a big part, but it's like the way you feel after you have sex with someone, which is like a big thing. A lot of people don't realize, but if you can find that person that you have sex with, and then like you're still after, all, the pent up horniness is like worn off, and you've come, and you could still feel like interest in the girl, like there's something more there, and that's just the way I feel, and that's just the way I am. I'm doing this a little differently. Usually for this podcast, I try to like make a lot of notes about the things I want to talk about, and I've made like a couple, but I'm really just trying to like say what's on my mind and go for it. Chain of consciousness, whatever you want to call it, with this episode. Try something new. Of course, I'm still experimenting with it. It's changed since we were at the Bowery studio now into this studio, and I'm still trying to find its place. And I've been curious and thinking whether this is even like the right project for me to continue doing. Should I just invest more of my energy into the American Jew podcast, into stand-up, into other things? But this is my space. This is my outlet. This is How You Like Me Now, where I say whatever the fuck I want, and I don't give a shit what you think. And I hope people do appreciate my perspective, and I hope there are some people that are listening to this podcast, and I'm not just doing it in vain. One of the things I talked about on last week's podcast, and one of the few things I took a note today, was about, the former Human Rights Watch director, Kenneth Roth, and how he was offered a fellowship to Harvard, and then he had it taken away. Well, they gave him back his fellowship, which I think is a great thing. A lot of people speculated that they had taken it away because of his criticisms of Israel, but I guess that's been squashed, because now he has his fellowship back, which I think is a good thing. Another thing I want to talk about, which I'm so into this week, is this viral video of this. I think he's like a Jamaican kid, and he's singing this song, and I love this kid. I love his song. He's like, I don't want to act all high and mighty, 'cause tomorrow I may fall down on my face. Lord, I thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day. Hey, 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 hey. It's a beautiful day. Hey, hey. Of course, the kid does a much better job singing it. The second thing I'm most insecure about, besides my comedy career, is my singing voice. I would love to sing better. But this kid is amazing. I love this kid. And it's just crazy to me because everybody went all like crazy for the corn kid. Screw you, corn kid. There's a new kid in town, and I like his message better. And like, I feel bad for this corn kid. This corn kid is just going to be growing up thinking like, whenever I say I like something, people are going to think that's awesome. He's just going to go around and be like, hey, I like this. I really like it. I really like it a lot. And people will be like, okay, kid, nobody cares, you know? But this other kid, the kid that sings the Sunshine song, I love you. I'm on his team all the way. I hope I don't know why I want to see them battle in something. Corn Kid versus Sunshine Kid. I don't know why I had to choose, but I'm so into the Sunshine Kid. Anyways, one thing that's important to me that I've talked about. First of all, I know I'm probably talking too fast. One thing I wanted to try to do in this podcast is kind of like slow down. It's weird when there's like silence in the podcast where I'm doing it all by myself and like, I don't know, but I want to try to like slow this down a little bit, but I feel like I'm talking really fast in this episode, just trying to keep my thoughts going and hopefully say something like good. That's what it's like doing this kind of podcast where I'm like, oh man, I hope I say something that's good that I could clip up and put on social media or whatever. And I hope, people are listening to the whole podcast, and this isn't just something where like, I tell women I do it and then they go listen to it and they're like, oh, I can never date that guy. He hates dogs. One thing that's like super important to me from anyone that's been following me on social media, I guess, is, Palestinian rights. And I am very displeased with the way Israel is treating the Palestinian people. I'm very bothered by, the narrative that we tell ourselves as Jewish people. I'm very bothered about how what's happening in Palestine reflects the Jewish people. Anyways, there's a lot about it that I don't like. Mostly, I don't like that these people are being treated as less than human just because they aren't Jewish. And I really hate when people want to like hide the abuses the Palestinian people face at the hands of Israel and the IDF under this like smoke of anti-Semitism. Like that really makes me sick, okay? It's not anti-Semitic to call out Israel on its human rights violations, period. Okay, and I don't like the way people like any criticism of Israel. People want to quickly be like, "Oh, you're anti-Semitic." No, I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm pro human beings. But anyways, that really disgusts me, and that's another part of the reason why I speak out. But I don't just want to be speaking out to be like hating on Israel. I call out Israel for the bullshit that it does because I want Israel to do better. I think Israel can do better, and I know Israel needs to do better, but I just feel like I don't want to just be like preaching hate, inciting any sort of violence against Israelis or Jewish people, because violence, I do not think, is the answer. People want to say, oh, violence is the only way. Well, I don't know. I feel like there has been Palestinian and Arab violence against Israelis and Jews for the last 75 years, and Palestine has only gotten smaller. I mean, in the West's perception of Palestinian people and many Arabs and many Muslims has only gotten worse. So I don't really understand how like violence has like really helped at all. And I feel though like we need to figure out something else, another way. I don't know what it is. But I know that I see on social media all these videos just calling each other out about being like, oh, we were here first. No, we were here first. Oh, Israelis did this stuff. Oh, yeah, well, there was a Palestinian terrorist that once did this thing. Oh, yeah, well, the IDF are terrorists. It's just like this back and forth that never goes anywhere, where we got to be moving in the direction where there's a peaceful and prosperous coexistence between both people. How do we make the world a better place and not just put all this energy, time out into like making the other side feel insignificant or bad about themselves, or, like terrorists, Jewish people want to call Palestinians terrorists. Palestinians want to call the IDF terrorists, and like there are terrorists on both sides, but there are a lot of good people on both sides too who are getting caught up in all this, okay? And I feel like we need to come together and figure out a way to move forward in a positive way where the Palestinian people do well and they're they're not being mistreated by Israel's, and people don't look badly on all Jewish people because of Israel's treatment of the Palestinian people. And there also has to be more work on the Palestinian side though too, because there's so much criticism of Israel, which is rightly so, but I don't often see a lot of criticism from Arabs or Muslim people or Palestinian people about their own leaders, because where is the positive leadership from that side? I want to know, where is the Palestinian Martin Luther King? Where is the Palestinian Nelson Mandela? Where is someone that's going to put aside the atrocities that happened in the past to move forward for a better future and find a way to do that for all people? That's what we need. I feel like, Israel does a lot of horrible things. I've called them out on it so many times, but I feel like the leadership for the Palestinian people does bad things too, because it doesn't put the well-being of the Palestinian people ahead of the hatred for Israel. And I feel like that is something that needs to happen. I feel like there needs to emerge a Palestinian leader that's going to say, how do we move forward together? Because that really is the only possibility. I never understand people like Israel's just going to go away. Like, it's not going to happen, okay? We need to figure out a way to live together, to work together. We have so much in common. We have more in common, actually, that we have apart. And to be honest, I actually have a lot of concerns. People say free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine. I want Palestine to be free of, the human rights violations that Israel puts on them. I want them to be free to move without having to go through hundreds of checkpoints. I want them to be free to have, their own identity. But I also want them to have, I think, a freedom from their leadership, because even if, let's say tomorrow, there was a two-state solution, there was an Israel and there was a Palestine, how free would the Palestinians really be? Because I feel like there are oppressive and things that happen because of, their own leaders, whether it's treatment of women, treatment of gay people, and that's not good. Not having freedom of speech, and I want those things for the Palestinian people. So I feel like I'm always calling out Israel, and I'm calling out Israel because I'm Jewish, and I feel like I have a responsibility to call out my own people and the atrocities we're committing. But I don't see a lot of Palestinian people calling out the lack of positive leadership on their side. And I want to see that. I need to see more people figuring out, how are we going to work together? How are we going to move forward instead of just being so caught up in the past? And I've mentioned this before, and people are like, well, how do you move forward and have peace with your oppressors? And it's not an easy task, and I'm not saying that I know exactly how to do it, or that it's going to be a piece of cake, but I don't know. The Native Americans figured it out. Black people figured it out. People all around the world figured it out. Colonization isn't only for Palestine, okay? Colonization has happened everywhere, and people found a way to move forward and try to live together. And of course, there's still problems in America between black people and white people, and they definitely don't have the same kind of privileges that white people have, but it's better than it was. And there's a lot of opportunity for black people that there wasn't many years ago, and we're taking steps forward. We still got a lot of ways to go, but at least we're trying to have a better world, and I feel like we need that too when it comes to Israel and Palestine. we need to say, yes, bad things have happened, and the truth is, Israel's done horrible things, but there have been people from the Palestinian side that have done bad things too, okay? And there were Jews that were being massacred, like in the Hebron massacre, long before, Israel became a country. And that's true. And there's been mistreatment of Jews around the world forever. And if you look at the Middle East, Israel is just like a little speck surrounded by Arab lands. And, it shouldn't just be swallowed up. There should be some sort of representation because Jews do have ties to the land. Arabs also have ties to the land. Palestinians also have ties to the land. There are lots of people that have ties to the land. So arguing back and forth for the rest of eternity, we were here first, we were here first, we were here first, does fucking nothing to help anybody. So how are we going to move forward? How are we going to make a peaceful, prosperous world for both people, They say Palestine will be free from the river to the sea. I like to say living with Israel in peace and prosperity, And that's what I want, and that's what I hope for, and I hope that we could do that, and we could get that together, and, if you listen to my podcast, if you follow me on social media, if you have suggestions, please hit me up. Slide in my DMs, email me, leave a comment, whatever, because we got to figure out how we're going to move forward instead of just constantly arguing about the past, calling each other's names, and having these same fucking dumb arguments that never get resolved, that go nowhere, and just as one person believes what they believe and the other person believes what they believe, and that's just the end of it. That's not going to make a better world, and it's only going to end up poorly, I think, for both people, especially for Israel, because the Palestinian population, the Arab population in Israel is growing. In Palestine, it's growing. And, if we don't start treating these people better, if we don't start acknowledging our mistakes, things are only going to get worse there. And I truly believe that. And I hope we can have a free Palestine. And I hope that we could have a world where, Jews and Muslims, Arabs and Israelis are living together and having each other's backs like we should, like we could, like we need to. Anyways, I'm Jonathan Randall. Thanks for listening. How you like me now?